Well, hello there Scapers, my name is Xenovilis of Pros and welcome to my Hardmode Dungeoneering guide. This is my third Trim Completionist guide. I hope you guys have been enjoying this series. I've done Mobilising, Armies and the Ark so far, and if you're wondering what is Hardmode Dungeoneering, basically it's a new mode of dungeoneering that you unlock after completing the Elite Dungeoneering task set. And the way it works is that you need to complete every single floor in this special hard mode setting once. It doesn't work like normal dungeoneering where you can sort of tick off other floors by completing different floors in the same category. You have to complete every single floor, and you can check which floors you've done by talking to Thok right here. And as you can see, I've completed almost all of them. And when I do complete it, I will get the Of Demonheim title, which I can't get right now, and it's a nice title as well, but the main thing is that it's a trim requirement. The way it works is that if you have 1 or 2 players, it's automatically a medium floor. If you have 3 to 5 players, it will automatically be a large floor. You can't change that setting. Every door is also a guardian door. So if you want to get past a door and unlock other doors, you need to kill all the monsters in the room. You can't leave any room unless you clear that room. So that's something you have to do anyway. Unless you got some teleports, and that's a very useful way of navigating, as I'll talk about later on. You don't have a boss choice, which you get once a day with the Demonheim Aura 4, and you don't have a complexity choice either, it's C6. You can't teleport out of boss rooms though. You can teleport out of every other room, but you can't teleport out of boss rooms, and everything is generally harder and tankier. Okay, so now that you know how it works, let's talk about some of the things you might want to do to prepare yourself before you start doing the grind. The first thing you want to do is make sure you have a dungeon partner if you want to do it as quickly as possible. If you have a duo partner, this is the fastest way of doing hard mode dungeoneering, and it makes life a lot easier. Solo is also okay, but it is slower, and you definitely don't want to be doing it with 3 people or more, because it will take forever to complete the floors if you do. Now generally in a duo it takes between say 5 to 8 minutes, maybe 9 minutes if you're unlucky with a boss like the Warped Gulega, because that guy is very slow to kill, or Blink for example. It takes less time obviously at lower floors and longer at higher floors, mainly because of the monsters and the fact that you need to kill them all, and the fact that they're really tanky. What you want to do is you want to leave every floor and re-overload. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to overload up, start a floor. So let's form a party, invite your partner if you have one, change the floor. So the one I need right now I think is 46. So that's the one I'm going to do. No, actually I'll do 42 because that's also something I need. I'm soloing, so lower floor. Guide mode is essential. Now guide mode will show you the critical path. You need to activate this if you want to get the fastest time possible, because it will show you that only the doors you actually need to do, and it's really good for hard mode dungeoneering. So you want to activate that. It will mean less XP at the end of the floor, but you don't care about XP, you care about how quickly you can do it. And you need to make sure that you activate hard mode. As you can see, you don't have any options after that, and you enter the dungeon. Okay, so I won't actually go and do this dungeon, but I will tell you a few things you need to do to set up that you might want to think about. First thing is, you probably want 2 combat styles because the monsters are really tanky here, and it's really hard to sort of hit the monster that you're weak against because they're extremely tanky, and you do want 2 styles. I've chosen to go with a range and melee, as you can see. But you can go with any 2 that you like and you're comfortable with. I've set up my bind setup the following way. So I've got 2 melee items and 2 range items, the top and the bow and the top and the sword, and the blood necklace also to help me with some healing as well. That's my default setup as well. The second thing you want to do is make sure you've got your action bar sorted. I'm going to use Revolution just because it makes it a bit more AFK and not that intensive. But if you want to go all out intensive, then I wouldn't use Revolution. And you also want to make sure that you have the following customizations on your Ring of Kinship. If you're meleeing, obviously you want the Berserker one, the one that gives you the maximum chance of hitting with 2-handed melee weapons. If you're ranging, you want to make sure you have Desperado because it increases your damage, and I've got the maximum one here, but it's probably not worth getting that last one because it costs 233k tokens, so you're probably happy enough getting the tier 9 version. And you might want to make sure that you have your quick switches on your 2 styles that you're using, and when you have that, that should be fine. You can put it on your action bar as well. So what I like to do is I like to put Soul Split and my turmoil equivalent for the style I'm using, as well as the quick switch of the opposite style ring, so that I can switch quickly. So if it's faded, then I know immediately that I'm on the right ring style. If it's not faded, then I know I need to click on the bar and quick switch, and now it's alright. So that's what I like to do. I got the same thing for range here. As you can see, I got the wrong style of kinship on my action bar, so I can switch to the right style when it's highlighted, and when it's faded, it's on the right style. And finally, you want to make sure you have runes bound, which I believe is a reward from the elite dungeoneering tasks anyway, so you don't need to worry about it too much, but you do want to make sure that you can use all the teleports quickly. I just like to have the spellbook open, but if you want to put it on your action bar, that's fine as well, just to have the quick teleports ready and available whenever you need to go. So now we come to the part that most of you are probably looking forward to. It's the strategy guide section of the video, and I'm going to talk through the optimal strategies to get the fastest possible times in Hardmode Dungeoneering. So first of all, you want to invite your friend, choose the floor, overload up, turn on guide mode, turn on hard mode, and check the map. That's the first thing I want to do. As soon as you start, you want to check the map, see which doors you actually need to go through. And then you have 2 options. You can either split up if there are 2 possible doors you can go through at the very start, or you can stick together. And without going into the efficiency of this bit too much, I find it more enjoyable if you stick together, and also less deaths really, because you kill the monsters more quickly, which means you get hit a lot less as well. And you also have the chance to sort of coordinate much better if you stick together. And what I like to do is assign the keyer role to one person. By keyer I mean the person that picks up the keys, and the gater role to the other person, because you'll only be doing a medium floor and a duo anyway, so it's not like you need everyone to be gating the doors and you'll be splitting up. Sticking together, that's my sort of preferred option, not necessarily the most efficient option like I said. And if you have these 2 roles, it'll make it a lot quicker. You want to gate the base as well if you have 2 or more doors going out from the base that you actually need to go through, and when you stick together, it will reap rewards in terms of efficiency. Another thing you probably don't do in normal dungeoneering is you probably don't switch styles every time you see a monster with a weakness that is the style you're weakest to, or you're weakest with your weapon. And even though dungeoneering in general is very, very tanky if you're not using the right style, in hard mode it's even more tanky because most of the monsters are at their highest possible levels and their highest possible HPs. So you want to be using the correct style, and that's why it's really important to have the switches ready, your kinship switches as well, and your prayer switches ready, so that you kill them off as fast as possible, because it can take a long time if you don't have at least 2 styles, guys. Trust me. These guys are really tanky, and it does really slow down the floor. So that's another thing you want to focus on. But specific to hard mode, there are 2 points I'd like to make. First, before you actually go through a door, even though I didn't do it, it's really useful for you to check whether you have any highlighted or critical doors going from that door you just unlocked, or from the room you just unlocked. If it does, then it means you need to clear out the room. If it doesn't, it means you just need to pick up the key from that room, and you can teleport back to a different door. You don't need to clear out the room. That's really important, because remember, you can't leave a room unless you clear it out. But you don't necessarily have to clear out every single room. If you're following the critical path, you only really need to clear out the rooms that don't have another door going out from them that is also on the critical path, if that makes sense. It might sound a bit complicated, but it really is quite simple. You just want to follow the map, do the highlighted doors, and eventually you'll reach the boss and do the boss, and that's really it. A quick word on the bosses as well. Of course, they're at their highest possible combat levels and HPs and stats and so on, so they will pose much more of a difficulty and much more of a challenge to you than the bosses you might have encountered in like normal dungeoneering. Another really important thing with the bosses here is that you cannot teleport out, so the only way to leave is to die. So you might want to make sure both you and your partner are ready to go in and fight the boss at the same time. You also can't choose the boss with your Demonheim aura, which you can once a day with the normal dungeoneering floors. So you just have to make do with whatever you get. And because the bosses are at their maximum possible combat levels, they are really tanky and it does take some time to kill them. And that is where doing a floor sub 6 minutes comes in really handy. If you're with a really good partner and you're good as well, and you get to that point as fast as possible because you obviously have the overload boost until you reach 6 minutes, give or take. And you can do 6 minutes fairly easily before warped, I guess maybe before occult as well. But once you get into warped, it's a little bit harder to do floors that quickly because the monsters take time to kill and so on and so forth. And there's a couple of bosses that also cause a lot of pain in warped floors. The first one is Blink. It's possibly the most hated boss in RuneScape, whether inside Demonheim or not, and it's mainly because people have misunderstood how to do the boss. There's actually a very simple method which the Junesong covers really quickly, so I don't want to go into that too much, but basically it involves standing by the northeastern pillar and only propping up the 4 pillars that you're standing right next to, and if you do it properly then you will never get shredded by his special attacks, and you can kill him reasonably easily. It still takes time, but you can kill him reasonably easily and without dying too much. And the second boss is the Warp Galega. This one takes the longest to kill in my opinion. Fortunately we never got Blink, but we got plenty of Warped Galegas in my journey to floor 60. And right now, as of the 1st of December 2016, there has been a familiar buff to the Sachem familiars, or even the Adept familiars, the tier 80 and the tier 90 familiars, which means they can do insane DPS on this boss, whereas you can't because of the way the boss works. And the boss can spawn from floor 48 onwards, so what you want to do is when you're doing floor 48 to 60, you want to make sure you look out for blue charms. That's the charm you need to make this familiar, and you also want to look out for either a Prometheum ore spot or a Grave Creeper tree or a Spirit Bloom spot, because using these you can make the respective familiars from the 3 combat styles, which will absolutely wreck the boss. So look out for that, make the familiar pouch, summon it at the boss, and you will have a much better time, a much easier time of it there. But that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you very much for watching, and I'd like to say thanks to a couple of people who've helped me with Hardmode Dungeoneering, more than a couple actually, but a couple of really key people. The first one is Mate of 48. I'm pretty sure he only stays on World 48 all the time. He's one of the most efficient dungeoneers I've ever seen, and most of what I learnt about efficiency is down to him. I didn't even realise you could be this efficient at dungeoneering until I saw him. So props to him, and thanks for all the tips on how to do it quickly, some of which I've shared with you guys today, and some of which actually do come with experience. So keep dungeoneering, go for 120, go for Comp Cape, and hopefully you improve your efficiency with every single floor you do, because that's how I improved my dungeoneering. Hadn't done it for a long time until I attempted to do hard mode. And even for an average dungeoneer like me, I'd say a geo hard mode floor, all things considered, takes about 7 to 8 minutes on average, which is just around 8 hours, I'd say, to do all 60 floors, which isn't too bad for a trim requirement compared to Castle Wars anyway. And finally, grats to my dungeon partner for the warp floors, Adept, who got the Demonheim title with the last floor that we did together. He also got the Salty title earlier today, I believe, so congrats to him on that as well. I'm going to get it within the next 24 hours or so, I believe, or maybe even get it before the release of this video. Who knows? I've only got 5 more floors as we speak. Like if you want to see more of these trim completions guides. I really enjoyed making this one, and don't forget to comment below if you have any more questions or any suggestions or anything I did wrong. Well, of course there's going to be at least one thing I said wrong today, as there is every single time. But yeah guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.